Welcome to Elevation Nation with your hosts Sam Panich and Parker Yablon. Elevation Nation is a community focused on bringing together young adults who are elevating themselves and others every day. Each Thursday, we take 15 minutes to talk about what's going on in the real world and touch on all the great things that Elevation Nation is up to. What's happening in Elevation Nation? We're coming off an awesome podcast with Scott Hickel, the founder and CEO of Throne. They created the Whoop for Poop. If you know what a Whoop is, it's like a tracker for your fitness and your health. He created some type of tracker for your toilet to basically help you get a better understanding of your gut health. So if you haven't taken a listen to that episode, we released it on Tuesday. Take a listen because, man, this Scott and his team are up to something. Sam and I were blown away after that conversation. We're like, wow, like there's some people that we have on in Elevation Nation who are awesome, inspiring. They're doing really cool things. Scott is someone who I feel like could change the world, like actually. So take a look at that. Sam agrees. We're good to be back. We're bringing our concept of talking about a topic. We're going to bring some data points for you today. And this is one that Sam and I have been discussing for the last couple weeks because we think there's something bigger at play here. We had on a new elevator. The episodes were getting released in a couple weeks, but he said that he holds intergenerational men's groups. And Sam and I were like pinging on the side, like on our little notes while this episode was being recorded. Like, whoa, like that's actually really, really freaking cool. And then it got us thinking, man, we live in a world where mentorship, particularly among men, has kind of gone away a little bit. And it just so happened that I'm reading this book by Scott Galloway. Scott Galloway. Sorry. His new book, Notes on Being a Man, and he's talking about that we're losing the art of passing down masculinity, strength, and wisdom to the next generation. And he's talking to someone from an older generation. And so this is the topic for today, some intergenerational wisdom and how we think that can actually help young people, particularly young men in today's society.
I'm really excited about this topic, Parker, for many reasons, and some that we can't share publicly yet. But that's just a hint for you, Elevation Nation. More to come on this topic in particular. But the reason why I'm excited we're getting into it is because you're reading a book, and you got to read faster because I'm taking it from your bookshelf when you're done because I want to read it next. All about this concept, the men's loneliness epidemic. I think, Parker, we've had many elevators on that have talked about men's mental health, suicide rates at an all-time high in young men, depression, anxiety, and trying to dig into the reasons why that is. And I've taken some time to strip back into what are the things, events, and people that have helped shape me into the man I am today. And ironically enough, when you go outside of people related to you by blood, the folks that have impacted my life in the most positive way were men in a different age bracket than me. Whether that was teachers, professors, coaches, or bosses, I've gained so much valuable knowledge and wisdom from them in my younger years and even now, compared to, of course, friends bring value in a different way. But in terms of shaping me, they certainly have had a big impact on me. And I think COVID unfortunately took away a lot of that intergenerational exposure that many of us were so used to, right? You know, Parker, we grew up, we had coaches throughout high school. You get to college, you still have some professors that you look up to and some that have come on our podcast, but you start to lose some of those older mentors. And then you get to the real world and you have maybe a boss or two, but then we started to work online. And while you still have those bosses, you don't have that same exposure. And so
it's all luck too. Like It's all
Yeah.
luck in the work world, like who you work for.
Sometimes you have a bad boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know.
That's a great point. I really agree with you on that. It's like, wait, all of our mentors, like the big mentors that like had a big impact on our life, are from like high school or middle school or college, or you could think of it is in your family. But like people die, right? Like people move on. Like you might not have connection to those people anymore. And so,
Or you might be exposed to people only in your generation, right? As you move into the big cities, you might only start to hang out with friends around your age
I think
and
that's a big
coworkers
one.
around your age and go to bars with people around your age, which of course makes perfect sense. But I think the exposure and wisdom that we gain from being with people in different age ranges, I mean, Parker, it goes back to a statement that I truly live by, is at every point in my life, I want to be a mentor and mentor others because I can learn from mentoring other people, but I certainly have a lot to learn from people who have been there. And I think to the people in my life currently that I have that aren't blood related, and I don't have that many. It's funny, my boxing coaches are like 2 years older than me, Parker, but I go to them with boxing advice, health advice, dating advice, DC advice, because that's the closest I can get to an older mentor in my life right now.
well, you're better than most, I think, and I think more people want that. If that's like a luxury, Sam, to have people to go to, because I think a lot of people now are using their phone to follow and consume content from their mentors, quote unquote. If you're on YouTube, you literally see me with my fingers quoting. But that's the world we live in, is that people are more isolated than ever, right? You have so many people working from home, and yet people think that they have mentors in their corner. They're learning, they're listening, whether it's reading a book from Scott Galloway or watching what Scott has to say on his podcast, or I come across his short form TikTok and he's talking about something, right? I don't know Scott personally. He inspires me, but he's not a mentor to me. I don't know him. He can't give me feedback and I can't give him feedback. And as a young person, particularly for men, I think we're finding is that a lot of men don't have that guide, that person to ask business questions, to ask career questions, to ask life questions. And we think that there's something there. I mean, I speak for myself, right? I mean, I talked about with losing Philip. Like Philip was our business mentor. Obviously, he worked at EY. He knew the reins of the corporate world, right? Unfortunately, we lost Philip, and I don't have him anymore to go to. I now have to revert to other people for that bucket. And to be honest with you, there's a void there. And so I imagine that among young people, and when I say young people, people between the ages of 20 to 35, 40, whatever you want to call it, younger people are associating and networking with people their age, and they're not finding connection to people who have the wisdom, who have the knowledge, the wherewithal to help uplift our generation, because this generation, particularly of men, are struggling.
You said you don't have many of those people, Parker, and it's interesting. We've seen a rise in older male figures on social media. Gary Vee has gained a ton of popularity. Grant Cardone, our guy Scott Galloway. You have these older male successful figures that really have become father figures. I mean, you look at Gary Vee's videos, guys wait hours in line to ask one question to this guy. Grant Cardone, hours in line, people begging to work for him, right? Looking up to this male figure just to see someone successful. And so I love those guys. I think they're incredible businessmen. I don't actually think that their life is a life I want to live. So while they certainly have qualities and things that I look up to, that's not who I want to ask my key questions to. I want to talk to people that are more aligned with the life that I want to live, that have done things that I want to do, that have traveled the world, that have been successful family men, that have raised successful children, that have given back to the community. And so that is what I'm looking for. As I am into my 30s now, Parker, I want to solidify those intergenerational connections that I think I'm so desperately looking for. I'm very lucky. I have a wonderful father figure who I know loves both of us a ton and gives us advice. But I think it's always good to expand those male connections even further, and also give those old guys a little bit of juice, give them a little bit of energy. They're sick and tired of playing golf with their old friends all the time. They want to hear what's going on in the real world, in the young guy's life. And so I'm hoping that we can find a way to bring intergenerational friendships truly to life.
And this has nothing to do with saying, oh, we're not talking about it. There are a ton of women in our life who are also mentors and have provided us a ton along the way. And many people who are listening, women have helped them along the way. But we think that there's something unique among the connection that you have to another male to male, guy to guy, that you can just connect a little differently. I think back to experience camp, Sam, when we're there and we're connecting with these young children, guy to guy, right? There's a reason why we do most of our stuff only guy to guy. Sitting around a fire, there's no girls there, right? It's all of us sitting around and sharing stories and getting vulnerable together. And there's something really special about that. And so as we look forward, Elevation Nation, I think this is a thing that Sam and I are going to begin to look into more, talk more about, and we want to find ways to bring that intergenerational gap closer together, because we think elevation can happen very, very much through the output of mentorship, the output of socializing, and being with older people who have great knowledge and great perspective. Like, why do we always think in our head we have to be friends with someone who's only our age? That's like complete BS. You can be friends with someone triple your age, I feel like, and get along just fine. And so there's something missing there. I mean, we're seeing that in Japan, right? You came up with that stat, right? Or that trend.
It's
people
crazy,
are like renting older people.
Because they Osan rental. Yeah. There's a whole website where you can rent an older gentleman for the day to travel around, to show you hidden gems in Japan, and to just listen to your problems and give you advice. And as we see this next generation of elders become widowed, live alone, lack maybe a sense of purpose or fulfillment once they retire, they have a lot of knowledge to give. And I, for one, am excited to learn from these elders, to learn from these mentors in our lives. And I mean, when wasn't Japan at the cutting edge of something cool, Parker? So if Japan's doing it, we got to do it too.
I don't think we're going to be creating like a matchmaking service.
Rentanoldguy.com?
Yeah, I don't think that's where we're going. I think we have some other ideas, but there's something there. So, I mean, what does that leave us? I think for you, Elevation Nation, think about like, who are the mentors in your lives? Who are the people that you look up to? And is it someone that you've never met before through your black screen? Or is it someone that you talk to every single day? If it is someone on the phone, maybe you need to reconsider, like, how do you make more in-person real relationships? And then vice versa. I think if you have someone who you really value and as a mentor, thank them and let them know it, because that's definitely a luxury in 2026.
Amen to that. All right, Elevation Nation. Until next week. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Elevation Nation. If you enjoyed our conversation, hit that subscribe button to get notified when we release a new episode. If you would like to join Elevation Nation or get more information about the nation, please visit our website at www.elevationnation.io. Until next week, Elevation Nation, peace.